They say time waits for no one, but in the shadowed streets of medieval Europe, there were towers that seemed to hold it captive. Imagine standing in a cobblestone square centuries ago, the air crisp with the scent of wood smoke and baking bread. Above you rises a great stone tower, its spire pointing toward the heavens. And on its face, not the simple hands and numbers we know today, but an intricate, glittering map of the cosmos itself. Gilded suns, silver moons, tiny painted constellations, all slowly turning, marking not just the hour, but the dance of the planets, the tides of the sea, and even the sacred rhythm of the church calendar. These were the astronomical clocks, marvels of engineering, art, and devotion that transformed timekeeping into something almost divine. They didn't just tell time, they told the story of the universe. But how were they built in an age before electricity, before modern machinery, before even the scientific understanding to fully explain the heavens they depicted? And why did so many of them seem to carry an air of mystery? Whispered legends of curses, secret codes, and mechanics so ingenious that even now, centuries later, we struggle to understand them. To answer that, we have to travel back to the heart of the Middle Ages, to a time when time itself was a sacred thing. Picture the 14th century. The world is smaller, yet somehow vaster. Most people will never travel beyond a day's walk from their village. But above their heads, the night sky stretches endlessly. A black velvet dome spangled with cold, unblinking stars. In a world without electric light, the heavens are overwhelming. The Milky Way spills across the sky like a river of frost. Constellations seem close enough to touch. And time is not counted in seconds, but in shadows and bells. The ringing of the hour marks the rhythm of life. When to work, when to pray, when to rest. In bustling cathedral towns, the church dominates every horizon, and with it, the need to track the sacred calendar with precision. Easter, feasts of saints, the phases of the moon, all of these depend on knowing the cycles of the heavens. But in this age, astronomy is still as much mysticism as science, a bridge between God's order and human understanding. It is in this world that the first great astronomical clocks are born. One of the earliest still surviving is the Prague astronomical clock, the Orloj, first installed in 1410. If you've ever stood before it, you know the strange hush that falls over the crowd just before the hour strikes. Figures of the apostles glide past tiny windows, a skeleton rings a bell, and the painted blue and gold dial shows not just the time, but the sun's journey through the zodiac, the moon's phase, and even old Czech time counted from sunset. It's not just a machine, it's a performance. The Orloj's design is so intricate that for centuries, people have whispered that its maker, Master Hanush, was blinded by city officials so he could never build another like it. Whether true or not, the tale has only deepened the clock's mystique, as if it was a treasure too dangerous to share. But Prague's masterpiece is far from alone. Across Europe, cities competed to create ever more elaborate astronomical clocks. In Strasbourg, France, a towering clock inside the cathedral marks not only the time and the heavens, but also the positions of the planets, the date of Easter, and a mechanical rooster that crows 3 times at noon. In England, the Wells Cathedral clock, built around 1390, still shows the phases of the moon and has mechanical knights who joust on the quarter hour. These clocks were miracles of craftsmanship. Imagine trying to carve gears by hand, each tooth measured by candlelight, each cog cut from solid metal, without the aid of modern tools. And yet somehow medieval clockmakers managed it, creating machines that have lasted centuries. But their purpose went beyond function. An astronomical clock was a symbol of a city's prestige, a declaration of its place in the divine order. It told citizens that here in this square, the movements of heaven were known, measured, and made visible. In a way, It was a statement of control over the most uncontrollable thing, the passage of time itself. And yet, there's a strange paradox in these machines. For all their beauty and precision, they are rooted in an understanding of the universe that is, by modern standards, wrong. The dials show the Earth at the center, the Sun, and planets revolving around it in perfect ordered circles, the Ptolemaic model. In other words, these clocks are exquisite mechanical lies. But perhaps that's what makes them so human. They are monuments to our desire to understand, even when our understanding is flawed. Still, there's something haunting about them. Many are linked to local legends, that if the clock ever stops, disaster will follow. In Strasbourg, it was said the city would fall if the great clock ceased to run. In Prague, people whisper that the ghost of its maker still haunts the Orloj, guarding it from harm. And there are darker tales, of builders who vanished, of apprentices who went mad trying to replicate the mechanisms, of secret symbols carved into the gears. Modern historians dismiss most of these as folklore, but the fact remains, even today, when we can build atomic clocks that lose less than a second in millions of years, these medieval creations still inspire awe. And they should. Because in truth, an astronomical clock isn't just a timepiece. It's a medieval computer, a physical model of the cosmos, driven by weight, gear, and pendulum. Its programming is in the precise shape of its cams and the ratios of its wheels. Every turn of a gear is a calculation. Every sweep of the dial a prediction of the heavens. To stand before one is to watch the universe move, rendered in brass and paint. I often wonder what it must have felt like centuries ago for a farmer or merchant to see such a clock for the first time. To walk into a city square and see high above the sun and moon turning together on a golden face, the zodiac spinning slowly behind them. In that moment, the sky, so vast, so unreachable, would have seemed somehow closer. Today, many of these clocks still run. They've been repaired, rebuilt, sometimes even dismantled and restored piece by piece. And yet, they carry with them the fingerprints of their makers, long-dead artisans whose names we often don't know, but whose genius still turns in the gears. There's a kind of poetry in that. A machine built to measure time becomes, itself, a defiance of time. But the greatest mystery to me is not how they were built, though that is worthy of wonder, but why they were built with such devotion. In an age when most people struggle just to survive, why pour such effort into something so elaborate, so beautiful? Maybe the answer lies in the medieval mindset. In a world so often chaotic and uncertain, an astronomical clock was a promise that there was an order to things, that the heavens moved according to a plan. And perhaps it was also a message to the future. We were here. We understood the dance of the cosmos, and we marked it in stone and steel so you would remember. When I think about these clocks now, I picture them on winter evenings, their dials glowing in the lamplight, snow drifting down around the tower. Somewhere inside, hidden behind carved wooden doors, the gears turn on, just as they have for hundreds of years. And I think, what will we leave behind that will still be turning in 6 centuries? Thank you for joining me on this journey into the ticking heart of the Middle Ages. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you could see the universe displayed on a clock face, what would you want it to show? The passage of the planets, the rise and fall of civilizations, or perhaps the fleeting, precious moments of a single human life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please like, comment, and share. It truly helps keep these stories alive.